lesson on something holiday times. It could be Thanksgiving. So this is one of my favorite things to do because it teaches you how to draw contour lines. So contour lines. Okay, so you have contour lines. These are the things that, these are lines that can go around a form and make them look three-dimensional. So a quick sample of this would be, if I could just, this is a simple shape. A shape is a circle. It's 2D. It has height and it has width. Okay? But if it were a form, it would be 3D. It would have height, width, and depth. Now, we can't make a three-dimensional object on a paper. We can create the illusion of a three-dimensional object. So simply put, I'm going to make some lines that wrap around this object. So this is going to wrap around here and come to here. This is going to wrap around here. This will wrap around here. This will wrap around here. So that's kind of helping it make it look three-dimensional. This is called cross contour lines where they actually cross. So this is, think of this as a globe with longitude and latitude lines. So here is another contour line. And as you can see, this now looks like a little bit more like it has some three-dimensional characteristics. So it looks like it's popping out at you a little bit more. So we could do this to make some corn. The Indian corn, which is the corn that has all the different colors, it's really cool. And it's fun to draw, so I'm going to show you how to do it real quick, and I'll show you how to add some little extras to it. All right, so, excuse me. So when you're drawing, kids, like I said, you have to draw with a featherlight touch, okay? What I mean by that is you're just drawing, okay? Some kids draw really dark. And then some kids draw kind of medium. And then some kids draw pretty light, and then some kids are really good, and then they draw like this, okay? Well, let's take a look now when it's time to erase. Who's going to have the easier time? Not that one. Not that one. Okay, it's a little better here. Okay, how about this one? That's really good, but I can still kind of see it. Now, how about this one? Nope, I can't see any of it. So that's why it's important to draw light, kids, because we make a lot of mistakes in art, and it's just nice to erase them. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on our corn. So what I'm going to do is just make a big giant kind of an oval with a pointer at kind of a pointy top. Not super pointy though. Kind of like this. Some kids, when I do this, they kind of do something like this. Okay? So we don't want it that thin. And this one's almost too thick. But it's just going to be easier to color in. So don't do this. Do this and draw light, and let's get moving. So contour lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a line from the top here, draw it super light, and it's going to go really close, not too close, but pretty close to that. It's going to come all the way down and then stop right at the bottom. Okay? Then you're going to do the other side. Notice that it arches the same. This is a contour. This outside line and this line mimic each other. Okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Really close. And then come down to here. Okay? So now we have two contour lines. Now the second one's going to be bigger. Okay? This one's a little bigger, and it's going down on the left side. So here, let's try it out. This one's quite a bit bigger and almost comes straight down to the bottom. And then we're going to do another one here. It almost comes straight down. Notice that this arches to the right, this line arches to the left, and then it's going to come all the way down to here. Okay? I'll tell you what, if I could do it over again, and I'll tell you what, kids, I'm not drawing really light. If I draw too light, you won't be able to see it. So I'm going to come up a little bit bigger like so. Okay? It's going to make it easier to color in. All right, so those are contour lines. Looks nothing like corn. All right? Now, what kind of corn are you talking about? So that's not the corn. So let's do the cross contour. Now we're going to make it look like a like corn, and it's look three-dimensional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these arching lines that wrap around. But as they come down, they start to flatten out, and then they start to arch up like a smile. Okay, so you start out kind of like as a frown, and then it's kind of changing, it's going straight, and then it starts to do some smiles and bigger smiles and bigger smiles and bigger smiles. So we don't want to do a whole bunch of them because we do have to color these in. So I'm going to go back up here. Got a little scratchy line there I got to get rid of. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and make my first arch here. Okay. I'm going to make another arch. Well, that doesn't arch very good. Uh-oh, Mr. Dykema is changing things. Sorry, kids. I want to make this a little thinner at the top. Not much. All right, let's try it again. Big arch. Another arch. Never mind, Mr. Dykema. I've got my little quirky things I gotta fix if I don't like it. There we go. All right, so really this should arch up and then come down to the same distance. If I went straight across, it should end here, but it didn't. So I'm going to arch it a little bit more. There we go. All right. So now let's come down here. I'm going to arch it again. All right, but now it's going to kind of flatten out. And it's going to get a little flatter. And it's going to go almost flat. And then it's going to slightly go down. Okay. And it's going to slightly go down more. And it's going to go down more. And then more. And then even more than that. So now it's kind of fast, but I don't do too many of these. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe you have 12, maybe you have 10, but you don't want 20, okay? Or you don't want 4. You want some consistency here. So let's try to make this look a little bit more realistic. Right now it's looking pretty good. It could look like corn, I guess. So you want to get more advanced. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. If you look on the outside edge here, what I'm going to do is just kind of make a little slight, kind of like a little bump here. Okay, I know it doesn't look much, but it's just a slight bump. You don't want to do it too severe either. You don't want to, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make these little tiny bumps that you can barely notice. All right, barely notice them. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go in there and erase those. Guys, just a little bit. Now I know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to make these gigantic bumps, and it's not going to look like corn anymore. So be careful with it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do in here now is I'm going to go outline this. Okay. I'm going to go on the outside first, and you can kind of see slight bump, hardly anything. If you make it too big, it's going to look kind of weird. Actually, I went in a little bit there, and that's okay if you do. Okay. Okay, so I'm kind of going to do the same thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm kind of going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of bump, 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 bump. Here's a bump, and a bump, and a bump, and a bump. Well, the only problem with what I just did there, kids, is I did not do it consistent. See how I had that line there? That's not good. So I'm going to do it again. Bump, bump. Don't make it sketchy looking. Bump, bump. So here again. Bump, a bump, a bump. It's so slight you can hardly tell. Now this one's going down, so now I'm going to bump kind of down here, here. You could do this with your pencil first if you're not sure how to do it, but you know, if you want to get this done quickly, I just do it when I have the marker. Okay. All right, so now I've done that. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of do a bump and a bump. With it. Take your eraser, erase all those wonderful little light lines that you did. All right, we're ready for the next step. The next step is to use some markers. So I have a nice set of markers just like you guys have at your table. Always start with the brightest color first, which is going to be yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in, and that's not yellow. Somebody ruined that yellow by coloring it in later than doing it the first time. All right, so let's try that again. So you can see what happens when somebody colors with a yellow next to a color that's darker. It ruins the markers. So if you use this rule of color light to dark, then you won't have this problem. So you know, pink could be next on the line for this, and then orange, and then even like a lime green could be next after like an orange or before an orange. It's not like an exact science, but for sure for number one, you want the yellow. You want the yellow. So I'm just going to go around and I'm going to make sure I get enough yellow in here. Okay. Make sure that you have a solid color. You don't want to color in, looks like I missed a spot in erasing here maybe. So you don't want to color in like this, kids. Okay, that's unacceptable. You got to use the marker's ink, push it down on an angle, okay? Push it down on an angle. It's almost like at a pretty flat here, but not ultra flat, but the whole side shows is on the paper. So I'll go in and edge, 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 color with circles. Some people will color back and forth, kind of like this, which is fine too. And I'm not going to color a whole lot of pink. So there it is. You have some contour line Indian corn. Now, what I'm going to do is you can take a black marker and just kind of make it a little thicker here. The reason I do this is because I'm going to cut this out. And when you're cutting it out, if you just have a skinny line there, you might cut that line off completely. If you notice, I'm going to go back and forth. I want this jet black. I don't want it to go, like it's see-through. So it's very, very, very dark. I'm not worried about this out here because we're cutting that off. Now, there are new blacks in your markers bins, so they should work fine. The key here, kids, is just, take your time, get a nice, call this a hard edge. You don't want to do something sketchy like this. All right, so really take your time, go over it a couple times, and don't go like around it once and then go around it twice. I just kind of go back and forth, until it's darkened. Okay, so now we get our scissors, and what I like to do when I'm cutting with the scissors is I like to do a little rough cut first. I'm just going to get this big stuff out of the way so it's not in my way. So I'm just going to rough cut it. There we go. Then I'm going to go in there and cut a little better. And I'm still going to try to keep that little bump there. So I'm trying to keep some of that black out. And I want to keep a little bit more. See how I'm kind of cutting and I'm almost kind of making it bumpy like it was. Uh-oh. Whoa. I went way in too far and cut into my blue. So here we go. Don't cut in to the color. Leave a little bit of black out there. Keep it consistent. And I'll tell you what, kids, if you make a mistake and you do cut in too far, you know what you can do? Like I did down here, is I can just pretend I did it on purpose. Why? Put a protector here. I'm just going to put some black back in that area. Like that. And then if you notice right here, this is a little sketchy. Remember I said you don't want it sketchy? I'm going to clean that up. So I can clean that up a little bit. There we go. Maybe I'll clean up right here too a little bit. Maybe, like over here, sometimes those black lines were just a little dull. Maybe your marker was dull, so I might go over some things. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, that's pretty darn good. So that could be the end if you wanted to, or if you want to take it to the next level, you could put some husk on it. If you have any of this crepe paper right here, you can get something like this and cut it out. And even if you don't, you could do it with paper towel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just fold this in half. And, with a pencil or even a brown marker, if you want to use a brown marker. Use a brownish marker. What I'm going to do is just kind of make this little line here. This shape like this. All right, make sure it's bigger than this, okay? So then I folded it so I'll get two of them when I get them out, okay? A little brown shows, we don't care. I'm going to cut this out. Try to cut a nice smooth line. See this little jagged edge here? That wasn't cutting good. Let's smooth that out a little bit. This isn't the easiest stuff to cut. All right, so here I'm going to cut more. I like to always cut a little bit bigger because you can always take it off, but it's harder to add. It's impossible to add. There we go. So I have two of these, I think. All right. So you can cut out a whole bunch of these, and you can just kind of glue these on. So kind of curl them up a little bit. See how that kind of wraps around there? So you can take a little bit of glue, a little stick glue, and put that on. Probably be the easiest way to do it is stick glue that on. And then here's another one here. Now this one has that brown showing, it's really jagged, so you know, I might, and you could do this with some brown, just brown paper. It might be even easier. So I'm trying to cut this out a little nicer than I did before. Down here, same thing. Maybe I'll get rid of that brown after all. Okay, so I could even fold that over a little bit and glue that on, just like that. You can even curve it a little bit. Maybe you could curve it a little bit like this. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So there you have it. Make sure you put your name on the back with a pencil, not a marker. And then have fun with them. Hang them up, display them, take them home. Display your artwork at home, kids. You work hard at it.